Welcome to our deep dive and get ready, because we're about to unlock some serious personality secrets with MBTI.
MBTI, it's like a roadmap to understanding not just ourselves, but everyone around us.
Right, and it's more than just those 4 letters. It's about really understanding the superpowers that come with each of the 16 types.
Absolutely. Each type has its own strengths and quirks. It's like a personality buffet.
Okay, so before we feast, let's do a quick recap. MBTI is rooted in Jung's work.
Yeah.
Right? And then Catherine Briggs and Isabel Myers took it to a whole new level.
Yeah, they were like the dynamic duo of personality.
Exactly. And they showed us how those psychological preferences play out in real life. Remember that vacation planning scenario?
Oh yeah, total clash between judging and perceiving types. I mean, that pre-planned itinerary might be a judging type's dream, but for a perceiving type.
It's a nightmare. Total buzzkill.
Exactly like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work.
So MBTI helps us decode those clashes and avoid those travel tensions, right? So let's dive into the first preference pair, energy attitude, the classic extroversion versus introversion.
The E and the I. And remember, it's not about being a party animal or a hermit.
Right, it's about where you get your energy from.
Yeah, it's like that preferred hand analogy. We all use both hands, but one just feels more natural.
Totally. So extroverts recharge by being around people, while introverts need some solo time to refuel.
Think about it. After a crazy day, an extrovert might be craving a night out with friends, while an introvert might be dreaming of a quiet evening at home.
So it's not about being antisocial. It's about honoring your natural energy flow.
Exactly. And sometimes that means creating space for both.
Oh, this reminds me of that team project. Remember, Sarah seemed a little quiet during our brainstorming session?
Yeah, you were on fire with ideas bouncing off the walls.
I know. Looking back, I was probably overwhelming her with all that extroverted energy.
Probably. She's more of an introvert, right? Needs time to process before sharing.
Totally. So understanding each other's energy preferences can make a huge difference in how we work together.
For sure, it's about creating a space where everyone feels comfortable contributing in their own way.
Speaking of different ways of approaching the world, let's talk about information gathering sensing versus intuition.
The S and the N. This is all about how we take in information, right?
Exactly. Sensing types are all about concrete details, facts, what they can see and touch.
Grounded in the here and now, the practical stuff.
While intuitive types are the big picture thinkers, always looking for patterns and possibilities.
The visionaries connecting the dots and seeing things that others might miss.
Remember that school fair example from the source material?
Oh yeah, the sensing student wanted to go with a sure thing food stall like tried and true classics.
While the intuitive student was dreaming up a totally unique baking competition.
Both valid approaches, right? But it shows how sensing and intuition can shape our priorities.
And speaking of priorities, let's tackle decision-making. Thinking versus feeling.
The T and the F. And let's clear up that misconception. It's not about being emotional or not.
Right, it's about what we prioritize when we make decisions.
Exactly. Thinking types are all about logic, objective analysis, fairness based on principles.
While feeling types, consider the impact on people, harmony, understanding.
Remember the Squid Game example? The thinking type might be bothered by plot holes, while the feeling type is connecting with the character's struggles.
It's like they're watching 2 different shows.
Exactly. And understanding this dimension is key to seeing that there are different ways of processing information and reaching conclusions.
Okay, last but not least, our final preference pair. Judging versus perceiving.
The J and the P, the battle between structure and spontaneity.
Judging types, they love order, planning, closure, having things settled and decided.
While perceiving types are all about flexibility, adapting to new information, going with the flow.
Back to that vacation planning scenario. The judging type wants everything booked in advance. The perceiving type wants to leave room for adventure.
Recipe for a disaster if you don't understand each other's preferences.
Absolutely. So we've covered the 4 core preferences, but here's where it gets really interesting. These preferences combine to create
16 unique personality types, each with its own strengths, challenges, and quirks.
like a personality kaleidoscope, each type bringing its own color to the mix.
Exactly, and in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to unveil those 16 types. Get ready for some serious personality insights. Welcome back to our MBTI deep dive. We just explored those 4 key dimensions, and now it's time to unlock those 16 unique personality types.
It's like opening a treasure chest of personality insights.
Right.
Let's start with the SPs, those adaptable, action-oriented folks.
The masters of spontaneity and problem solving on the fly.
Exactly. So first up, the ESTP. The entrepreneur.
Always starting new ventures full of energy, never afraid to take a risk.
Yeah, they thrive on excitement and challenges. Living in the moment. Remember that friend who can sell you anything?
Oh yeah, that's classic ESTP. They're incredibly persuasive and resourceful.
But sometimes their impulsiveness can get them into trouble.
True. Their focus on the present can make long-term commitments a bit tricky.
Right. So it's all about balance, recognizing those strengths and potential pitfalls.
Absolutely. Now let's meet another SP, the ESFT, the entertainer.
The life of the party, always bringing joy and laughter.
They have this amazing ability to connect with people and make everyone feel comfortable.
Remember that time at the conference? They had everyone up and dancing?
That's so ESFP. They're natural storytellers, and they just radiate warmth and enthusiasm.
But their desire to please everyone can sometimes backfire.
Yeah, they might neglect their own needs or avoid conflict to keep the peace.
So self-awareness is key, even for the most outgoing types.
Definitely. Now let's shift to the more introverted SPs, starting with the ISTP, the craftsperson.
The quiet observer, always tinkering and figuring out how things work.
Masters of tools and techniques. They have this incredible ability to fix or build anything.
Yeah, they're super resourceful and adaptable.
Yeah.
But sometimes their actions speak louder than words.
True. They might struggle to express their emotions or connect with others on a deeper level.
So recognizing different forms of communication is important.
Absolutely. Now let's meet the ISFP, the artist.
Driven by their values and aesthetics, always expressing themselves creatively.
The musicians, the painters, the writers, they pour their heart and soul into their craft.
Yeah, they're incredibly sensitive and compassionate, but that sensitivity can also make them vulnerable.
True. They might take criticism to heart or avoid conflict to protect their inner harmony.
So even the most gentle souls need to develop a strong sense of self-worth.
Definitely. Okay, we've explored the SPs. Now let's move on to the SJs, the guardians of tradition and order.
The ones who keep things running smoothly.
Absolutely. So first up, the ESTJ, the supervisor.
They value tradition, hard work, doing things by the book.
They're the pillars of stability and structure, always holding themselves and others to high standards.
But sometimes their adherence to rules can make them seem a bit inflexible.
True. They might resist change or come across as blunt in their communication.
So it's all about finding that balance between structure and flexibility.
Exactly. Now let's meet the ESFJ, the provider.
The heart of their communities, always nurturing and creating a sense of belonging.
They're the ones who remember birthdays, organize potlucks, always there to lend a helping hand.
Yeah, they're incredibly loyal and generous.
Yeah.
But their desire to please everyone can be draining.
True, they might overextend themselves or avoid addressing difficult situations.
So self-care and boundaries are essential even for the most caring individuals.
Absolutely. Now let's delve into the world of the introverted SJs, starting with the ISTJ, the inspector.
The detail-oriented observer who remembers every fact and follows procedures meticulously.
They're all about accuracy and reliability, making sure everything is done thoroughly and correctly.
But their focus on details can sometimes make them resistant to new ideas.
True. They might prefer proven methods over trying something new.
So it's important for them to develop some flexibility and explore different approaches.
Definitely. And finally, in our SJ group, we have the ISFJ, the protector.
Quiet strength, unwavering loyalty, always there to support the people they care about.
They're incredibly compassionate and empathetic, always putting others' needs before their own.
But their sensitivity can make them vulnerable to taking on too much.
True. They need to prioritize their own well-being and set healthy boundaries.
Absolutely. So we've met 8 fascinating personality types so far. Ready to meet the rest of the cast. Okay, we've explored the SPs and the SJs, those adaptable doers and the guardians of tradition. But now get ready for a mind shift as we enter the world of the NTs, the rationals.
The knowledge seekers, the strategists, the ones who see the world as a giant puzzle waiting to be solved.
I'm intrigued. They sound like the folks who are always 10 steps ahead, strategizing and coming up with those brilliant solutions that leave everyone else wondering, how did they do that?
Exactly. So let's start with the ENTJ, the commander.
The ones who walk into a room and just command attention.
Not with force, but with their presence, their vision, their ability to see the big picture and rally people towards a common goal.
The source material describes them as strategic, decisive, and incredibly driven.
The strength lies in their ability to analyze complex situations, develop effective plans, and motivate others to take action.
They're like the ultimate chess players, always thinking several moves ahead.
But their drive for efficiency can sometimes make them overlook the human element.
Right, they might come across as a bit blunt or insensitive if they're not careful.
True. So it's important for them to cultivate empathy and consider the impact of their decisions on others.
Now let's meet another NT, the ENTP, the debater.
Oh, these are the folks who love a good intellectual sparring match. They challenge assumptions, poke holes in arguments, and thrive on the energy of a lively debate.
They're the ones who keep you on your toes, always making you think critically and defend your positions.
The source material describes them as quick-witted, innovative, and incredibly curious.
But their love for debate can sometimes make them seem combative or argumentative.
Yeah, and their constant need to challenge the status quo can make it hard for them to commit to a single course of action.
So finding that balance between exploration and focus is key for them.
Absolutely. Now let's shift to the more introverted NTs, starting with the INTJ, the mastermind.
The quiet strategists operating behind the scenes, analyzing, planning, and orchestrating their moves with precision.
They're the ones who see patterns that others miss and develop ingenious solutions to complex problems.
The source material describes them as independent, insightful, and incredibly determined.
But their intense focus on their internal world can sometimes make them appear distant or aloof.
Right. They might struggle to express their emotions or connect with others on a personal level.
So developing their emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills can be beneficial for them.
And finally, let's meet the INTP, the architect.
The knowledge seekers, the ones who are constantly exploring new ideas and theories.
They're the ones who can spend hours lost in thought, dissecting complex concepts and coming up with innovative solutions.
The source material describes them as analytical, creative, and incredibly independent thinkers.
But their detachment from the practical world can sometimes make it difficult for them to translate their ideas into action.
Yeah, they might need help with implementation and bringing their brilliant ideas to life.
Okay, we've explored the NTs, those brilliant minds who challenge our assumptions and push the boundaries of what's possible. Now let's meet the NFs, the champions of empathy and meaning.
The heart-centered souls who inspire us with their compassion, their vision, and their unwavering belief in human connection.
I'm excited to dive into this group. They sound like the folks who make the world a better place.
Absolutely. So let's start with the ENFJ, the protagonist.
The charismatic leaders who inspire and motivate others with their passion and eloquence.
They're the ones who can rally people around a cause and ignite a fire in their hearts.
The source material describes them as warm, empathetic, and incredibly persuasive.
But their desire for harmony can sometimes lead them to avoid conflict or neglect their own needs.
Right, they need to learn to set healthy boundaries and advocate for themselves.
Definitely. Now let's meet another NF, the ENFP, the champion.
The free spirits who bring joy and possibility to everything they do.
They see the good in everyone and inspire others to embrace their authentic selves.
The source material describes them as enthusiastic, creative, and incredibly supportive.
But their boundless energy can sometimes make it difficult for them to focus or follow through on commitments.
So developing a sense of discipline and prioritizing their goals can be helpful for them.
Absolutely. Now, let's shift to the more introverted NFs, starting with the INFJ, the advocate.
The quiet idealists who possess a deep understanding of human nature and a strong sense of purpose.
They're the ones who fight for social justice and champion causes they believe in.
The source material describes them as insightful, compassionate, and incredibly dedicated to their ideals.
But their sensitivity can also make them vulnerable to burnout or feeling overwhelmed by the world's problems.
So they need to develop healthy coping mechanisms and find ways to recharge.
Definitely. And last but not least, in our NF group, we have the INFP, the mediator.
The gentle souls who navigate the world with empathy and a strong inner compass.
They seek to understand different perspectives, bridge divides, and create a more harmonious world.
The source material describes them as sensitive, idealistic, and deeply committed to their values.
But their aversion to conflict can make it difficult for them to assert their needs or stand up for themselves.
Right, they need to learn to balance their desire for harmony with their own well-being.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it all. 16 MBTI personality types, each a unique blend of strengths, challenges, and potential.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the nuances of each type, and I hope our listeners feel a sense of recognition and validation. It's like finally having a language to describe those patterns of behavior we've always observed, but couldn't quite articulate.
And remember, understanding your MBTI type is just the beginning. It's an invitation to explore your strengths, navigate your challenges with greater awareness, and appreciate the beautiful diversity of personalities that make up our world.
So true. And if you want to dive deeper into any specific type, don't forget to check out the source material.
But ultimately, the real power of MBTI lies not in labeling ourselves, but in using this knowledge to foster self-awareness, empathy, and understanding in all our interactions.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of MBTI.